This is New York City. It has the best transit system in North America, but it's still an American city, which means cars are king. Every day Manhattan swells with a swarm of cars, 700,000 of them, and every couple of years a new highway slashes across the city. But there was a time when this was far worse, New York's dark age, when cars held the city hostage, and the subway was all but forgotten. And that's all thanks to this man, Robert Moses. Our story begins, as all good ones do, with the Great Depression. Robert Moses was already a well-established urban planner working for the city when he received a call that would change his life. Yes? Hey, would you like to head the Triborough Bridge Authority? Yeah, sure. Oh, so why is this life-changing? Well, let me explain. This is the Triborough Bridge, which we shouldn't really call a bridge. It's more aptly described as a traffic machine, the largest ever built. It moved a huge number of cars, and with those cars came an immense amount of money in tolls. And guess who got to control what happened to that toll money with virtually no regulation? This guy, the head of the Triborough Bridge Authority. Just to illustrate how much money Moses was dealing with, in 1955, Robert Moses and his buddies at the Port Authority of New York collectively had around 1.25 billion liquid dollars. That would be over 14 billion today. A huge amount of money that, according to professional estimates, could have extended the subway system significantly and modernized both the Long Island Railroad and the Hudson and Manhattan Railroad. Only problem, Moses wasn't that big a fan of mass transit, and he loved cars. Can you really blame him? He was a man of his time. Cars were new and exciting. They were the thing in the US. Every city was expanded with the belief that cars were the transportation method of the future. So Moses built highway after highway, bridge after bridge, and every improvement to New York's car infrastructure drove more people across toll bridges that put more money into Moses' proverbial pockets. It was a perfect vicious cycle. But eventually, Moses ran into a problem. He already had a couple of titles in the city that gave him the power to construct highways, use the city's resources, land, etc. But he wanted more power. He wanted to terraform the entire state, which would require holding state titles as well, which is kind of completely ridiculous. It's like being a senator and president at the same time. But he asked the governor anyway, and he said, yeah, why not? And Moses started collecting titles like Pokemon cards. At one point he held 12 simultaneously. And of course, none of these were elected positions, nor was there really any accountability system whatsoever. With all that power, Moses was nigh unstoppable. There's really no understating the influence this one man, never elected by the people, had. He threw highways everywhere, here, there, wherever. Were there people in the way? Yes. Did Moses care? Yes, of course, because those people were annoying. They wanted to keep their homes or something like that. So he labeled the neighborhoods as slums, in need of renewal, pulled some strings, and bam, he eminent domained them out of there. And while Moses relentlessly dumped toll money into car-centric infrastructure, the city was kinda broke. As in, they couldn't even find the money for basic subway maintenance. That, combined with the fact that driving cars around the city was getting easier and easier, meant that subway ridership was declining rapidly. Moses, pretty much single-handedly, killed the New York subway. Look at the numbers. By the time Moses' power began to wane in 1960, subway ridership had dropped to 1.3 million passengers a year, a low not seen since the year 1920, back when the metro area had roughly half the people it did in 1960. This infrastructure imbalance facilitated the construction of classic monotonous American suburbs all around the city, and killed any chances of New York escaping its fate as just another sad little American city. Part 2. The decline. Like all bad things, Moses' reign of terror came to an end. See, nobody cared when he bulldozed the homes of poor people. They were too busy trying to stay alive to worry about protesting to save their neighborhood. But then he decided he wanted to build a highway straight across Manhattan, destroying Soho and Little Italy, displacing about 2,000 families and 800 businesses. And these neighborhoods weren't going down easy. Protests were organized, and one woman even wrote a book about how dumb Moses was. and through the age-old practice of NIMBYism, Lower Manhattan was saved. He then tried to screw with some more rich people, and lo and behold, something was finally done about Moses. The city realized, hey, we're about to go bankrupt. Maybe we should be using this money from the Triborough Bridge to do something else. And then Robert Moses was left with nothing but his legacy, which was then ruined by this guy Robert Caro, who published a 1,000-page book about how evil Moses was. Anyway, like and subscribe if you enjoyed.